Oh, well, hello, my wonderful broskis and broskas of the Dark Dynamic Nation. The Dark Dynamic Nation. And this here is going to be yet another freaking what if that is sitting around like Undertale slash Deltarune type thing. Because a character in this is basically going. It basically, you guys will see as we go down the road. This what if AU because it sort of is like a what if and an AU at the same time. Because it's an Undertale AU, but it has aspects of a what if in it. Especially the way I'm going to be telling the story. This what if is this what if AU is SNOWSET. Yes, that's the name of the uh, what if slash AU SNOWSET. And basically, the aspect of it, like one of the main, if not the main aspect of SNOWSET, is that a character that most people think is like pure evil in the Undertale like fandom, and like in most AUs that they're featured in, if not like the majority of the AUs they're featured in, they're an evil character. In SNOWSET, they're not evil. In SNOWSET, it's like an exception. They're not evil in this. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Basically, this what if thing starts off. This starts off with basically someone in basically like they are walking down a hallway, like a dark but not like very dark hallway. It's like a dim hallway, almost looks like a laboratory hallway. And there's someone behind them, and they're just like, Dr. Gaster, are you sure about this? And there's someone else walking behind them, and it's like, yeah, Doc, are you really sure you gotta do this? And then the person that they're calling Doc is like, if you can fail to see the reasoning and why I need to do this, then you don't even need to be part of the experiment at all. And Alphys is like, experiments? And Sans is like, let's go, Alf. We don't need to see any more of this than we already have, which is none, considering the way Dad is. And then the person is just like, huh, Dad, how trivial. Anyways, and there's like just like this panel thing, and he just puts his hand to it, and he's like, ding, verification, Dr. Gaster. And the person just walks through the door, and it's like, yes, Dr. W.D. Gaster, world scientist of the underground. Ever since we were put down here by those humans, humans can't feel true love, they can't feel kindness, they can't feel compassion. Humans are demons that pollute the earth with their wretched stench of sin. I.W.D. Gaster, the royal scientist of the underground, will clean the underground of their filth, rid the underground of their filth by creating two perfect specimens, two perfect non-sinful humans. Humans that are perfect in every way. Because these humans will not have the influence of other humans. They will only have the influence of myself, seeing as Alfie's and Sans, my own son, can't seem to get the memo. And I'll be damned if I let Papyrus in on what I'm doing. No, never, never, ever shall I ever do anything that stupid. Yes, there were originally 12, then it was rolled down to 8. Now there's only 4, no, there's not 4 in there. So 2 have already died from the time I was in Snowden to now. I don't know how it happened, that is, unless the homunculi serum has failed them too. It seems that the only thing keeping the last 2 together is the combination of the homunculi serum and the determination serum and serum X. Serum X V11. A fusion of serum X, the determination serum, and basically serum XV11, a combination of serum X, the determination serum, and the homunculi serum. This combination allowed them to live the last 2. Yes, somehow they were able to resist the clutches of death and go beyond. Yes, these 2 humans are different. Very different. But however, I refuse to use the homunculi serum or serum X on myself. However, the determination serum, yes, that I can work with. You 2, F, C. And basically the 2 humans just respond to this. Like, that's their names that Gaster gave them, F and C. Basically, Gaster's like, yes, you still remember that that's your assigned identities. Why would I ever give you 2 names? I'm not an idiot. I'm not someone who would ever do something like that. Something like that gives you ties to those beings around you. And I am not willing to risk this operation for simple ties. You 2 are the perfect humans. Both of you have the same makeup, and both of you were able to survive the serum. Now, let's just test serum XV11 on the 2 of you. And basically, like, Frisk, like, the human that is going to eventually be known as Frisk, like Gaster calls F, is like cowering behind the human that will eventually be called Chara, C. Like, F is cowering behind C, and C is just like has their hands out, is like in a defensive position to like save F, and Gaster is just like, oh well, it does indeed seem your soul's already very strong, even without Serum XV11. Well, that were enough. Oh, yes. I must tend to my own business. You two go back. You need not be seen by the others. So, run off. Back into your confinement. Basically, C and F are both like, okay, we gotta do what he says, or else he's gonna, throw a shit fit. They don't want to test Gaster. They've seen how he is with the others, and so they're like, yeah, we don't want to piss him off. We really don't want to try him. And so Gaster is just like, well then, I guess now is more or less the most perfect time ever for such an experiment. The determination extractor, the DT extractor, they call it. And he has like a phone, and he's like, ring, ring, ring. It's like, Alphys, get Sans, and you two both come to the lab. However, I need you to make sure that Sans doesn't bring Papyrus with him. If something goes wrong, I don't need both of my sons to be sulking. Sans barely does enough as it is to actually have the energy to cry. I would hate for someone like Papyrus who does seem to exhibit that kind of energy to have to go through this if it fails. I don't plan for it to fail, but there is always room for a margin of error. So, Alphys, remember what I said specifically, and no failing me. If Papyrus is here, whenever Sans is here, I will have you to blame for the casualties on my son's sanity, both of them. It's a click, and Alphys is just like, well, looks like I have to call up Sans. And well, Alphys is successful, but Papyrus is like pouting like in the corner of his room. He's just like, I wanna go. And Sans is like, nah, sorry, bro. Maybe next time. But this is the moment, like basically whenever Sans gets there, they basically are both behind panels, and Gaster is standing in front of the DT extractor, and he's just like, yes. Now, Alphys, Sans, start up the DT extractor. I wish to see its full potential. What could happen if, instead of extracting DT, it gave it? And Sans is like, Dad, like, no offense, but you're freaking crazy. Oh, just a thing in the background. No offense, Dad, but you're freaking crazy if you think that's gonna work the way we need it to, or at least you think we need it to. And Alphys is just like, even when Papyrus isn't here, Sans is still acting crazy. Like, Alphys is just trying to get Gaster to not be pissed at them. And Gaster is just like, it needs to be done. The determination. The only way I will receive it is if the procedure used to extract DT is reversed. And Alphys is like, it can be done, Dr. Gaster, but it is a very dangerous process. And Gaster isn't listening to it at all. I was like, if it can be done, then it shall be done. Is that clear, Alphys? And Alphys is just like, yes, sir. And Sans is like, hell no! And Alfie's just like, well, my part is already done. Besides, you know, I've basically given a ghost monster a robot body, so how difficult could it be to have this be successful? Like, I've done crazier things before, like, I think crazier things. Like, I don't really know how crazy the whole thing with Megaton was, but, and she's just rambling on to herself, like crazy. And Sans is just like, damn it. And he just goes to slap the machine, but he incidentally brings down the lever that's on the machine that Alpha's brought down on her machine. And he's like, no, shit! Damn it, damn it, damn it! Ugh, do something! Ugh, damn it, the damn thing's trapped. These things haven't been used in so long. And Alphys is like, well, yeah, that's true, but that's not the only reason. It appears that Dr. Gaster has been doing some meddling with the machines, and once the lever has been knocked down, it can't be knocked back up. Seems that Dr. Gaster is really confident in the success radius of the actual experiment. And Sans is just like, he's just like, this, this can't be undone. The consequences can't be undone. And just like the entire events of like basically Gaster falling into his creation of the whole DT experiments. It's like darker, darker, yet darker. It's like, what do you two think? Like eventually it gets to that, and Sans is like, I think while you were still in one piece, you're crazy, but I still love you. You're still my dad. Why did you have to go and do this? And Alphys is like, Sans, stop. He probably can't even hear you. By now, he's probably so shattered across, like, hyper time, hyperspace, like, that he probably doesn't hear any of us. And Sans is just like, just has Alphys by the collar and just slams her into a wall. It's like, damn it, Alphys. Why? Why did you agree to this? Could you not see how bad this has ended up being? Something like reversing the polarity and stable ability of the DT extractor in order to give DT to a monster. Their soul would have to be strong in order to take it. And even though Gaster was a boss monster, whenever he was still in one piece, that still doesn't guarantee how strong his soul would be in order of like how much DT he actually inputted into his body. And Alfie's is like, well, that is true, but it's just, I was hoping that things would be better for once. That maybe if things went, good instead of bad, that things would finally be looking at the up and up for once instead of bad. I guess I was just trying to be too much of an optimist to actually see the errors in Gaster's plan. I'm so sorry, Sans. And Sans is like, no, you're not the one who needs to be sorry. I, I too was trying to be optimistic, hoping that Dad's plan would work. Damn it. Why? Just the why? And it's basically just like, I have to get to Papyrus. I don't know how strong I'll be able to be to tell him. How strong I'll have to be to tell him. But eventually Sans does tell Papyrus, and Papyrus is just like, nah. He's like crying, but also saying nah at the same time. Like for every teardrop, there's like a nah. And eventually, like, Sans and Papyrus do eventually grow up to be their traditional Undertale selves, like traditional age. And, it's just the whole thing about humans and things. Like, even though they're at their, like, canon age, like, at this point in the timeline, the promise that Sans had made to Toriel about not killing any, like, the next human that comes down, like, actually protecting them, at this point, this is at the point where before that happened. Basically, this is before that. Before any promise was made about protecting the human. Because, unlike in the canon timeline, basically, Azrael notices that the human that fell down to the ruins, you know, they look odd. Something is off about them, but, well, several things are actually off, like one of them being that they seem to mostly be a mute. They have a blue and sort of magenta striped shirt, and they have brown hair. Well, the one thing that they did say to Azrael is that their name is Frisk, and that, well, they had heard about the legend, and they wanted to know if it was true or not. That, like, any human that went, around the mountain, they wouldn't come back. They wanted to know if the legend was true. They didn't know that there was a giant hole on top of the frickin' mountain, Mount Abbott. They didn't know that. And basically, like, whenever, like, the whole household is, like, put together and shit, like, you know, that's all resolved. Basically, instead of Chara becoming part of the Dreamer household, Frisk becomes a part of the Dreamer household. Because they said their name is Frisk, not Chara. And Azrael wasn't really expecting them to say Chara, because in this, Azrael doesn't know about Chara. At least not yet. Basically, like, at like the same day, around the same time, like, later, like, not around the same time, but, like, later, a little bit later in the day, like, around the afternoon, like, Sans is just, like, Papyrus is like, Sans, you're such a lazy bones. You keep on boondoggling, and the more and more you go to Grillby's, the more and more I'm going to worry that you're going to die from some sort of fast food overdose. And Sans is just like, I don't even think that's a thing, Pap. And Papyrus is like, yes, but I'm still worried about it. I don't know why, but I still am. And Sans is just like, well, I'm the older brother, so shouldn't I be worried about you? Your sessions with Undyne have been getting pretty brutal. Like, bad to the bone brutal. Like, ching. And Papyrus would just be like, ugh, just do something around the house, or better yet, do something outside the house that isn't hanging around Grillby's, or, you know, just random shortcutting to an area where I can't find you. You really worrying me about that sometimes. Last time that happened, I don't know where you went, but it's a good thing you tried to get to me, or else I don't think I would have ever found you. And Santa's like, well, that's more or less because I got bored. Bored to the bone. And it's like, Virus is just like, you make that pun one more time, Sans, and I will kill you. And so Sans is like, okay, fine, I'll do something, okay? And, Sans just puts on his slippers. his shirt, his jacket, like his like freaking pants, like he got every like the traditional Sans attire, even his pink slippers. And Sans is just like, okay, I'm heading out. What to do? What to do? He's just like, oh God, I have no idea, like anything to do. Like literally, I have no idea. Like Sans is literally like he is dry for ideas of what he could actually do. He is just he doesn't know anything. Like Papyrus doesn't want him like hanging around like Grillby's, and he doesn't want him pulling like shortcut shit. So basically, Sans is just like, oh well, I guess it's time for a walk in the Snowden. Snowden. Yeah, I wonder if they fixed that sign in the library. Library. He's just laughing his ass off about the sign. But he eventually hears like some crying, and he like sees a little basket, and like with a little blanket, and like there's some crying sound coming from the basket, like inside the basket, and he's just like, "What the hell could that be? A baby monster? Uh, out here, out in the cold? Who the hell would be that mean to their child? They're just on the ground here, and hmm, I don't know anyone in Snowden that's that cruel." And he just checks inside the basket, and like against his better judgment, he just checks inside the basket. What he sees, he does not see a freaking monster. He sees a human child, like around like a young toddler age, or not really young toddler, like about like I guess 2. And Sans is just like, what the from the magic, from like the sensing I'm doing around with magic, like because he has this whole soul magic thing, like he can read people's souls. Because like he's a judge, and he's like, from what I'm sensing, this kid is only 2 years old. The hell? Who leaves a 2-year-old out here? And I better not yell. But it's a human child. It would just be really easy to kill them right here and now. And seeing as we already have 6 souls, this one will be the 7th, and King Asgore could become a god and free us from the magical barrier that the humans created. No, Sans, you're thinking like Dad. You're thinking like him. And I think you've already discussed in your head that you never want to be anything associated with him except for being his son. And nothing more. So I'm not going to do that. I have no idea how I'm going to convince Pap, though. He would surely take the child to Undyne, and Undyne would surely kill the kid for Asgore. More than, taking the kid to Asgore. No, Undyne would kill them right then and there, regardless of how old they are, regardless of how defenseless they are. Damn it, they only have freaking 1 HP. That's it, I can't live with this any longer. And he just grabs the basket and he just meanders on, like hoping nobody sees him. Like everybody's just minding their own business, so of course they're not gonna see him. And he just takes like he just goes in and he takes the basket with him, and he's like, "Shh, please, kid, just be quiet." And he goes into his room, and Papyrus is like, usually he would at least say hi. I wonder what he's carrying into his room. But Papyrus is like, if he doesn't even have enough energy to say hi, he's probably just going to fall asleep on that mattress he calls a bed. Like, he has enough magic to create a trash tornado, but he can't even, like, put forth the effort to, get enough money to buy a freaking actual bed. It's a freaking mattress on the floor, not a bed. Oh, but he can create trash tornadoes and mess with space and time just fine. Last time I got on that treadmill after the lights turned on, I almost fell on my face and broke my skull. Ugh. I don't know what he thinks he's doing, but something inside of me, something in my bones, it doesn't feel right. Not at all. And just Sans is like, just like, Sans is like, kid, you still only have 1 HP. And Sans knows about how his father had fire magic, and so Sans, being his father's son, would have some potential for fire magic. Not a lot of potential, but he would have some potential. And that's the same with Papyrus, but he really didn't realize that potential all that much. But Sans does know a little bit of the fire magic. And so he just uses it to help warm this kid back up. But he's realizing their HP isn't going up. What the hell? And he's like, he is literally like, he just got out of the freaking cold. Like, this is like Snowden in the middle of like the freaking winter. Or not really winter, but like Snowden in the middle of fall. Like, fall, like whenever it turns, like about the time where it's about to turn from fall to winter. It's around that time, so it's actually was kind of cold out there. So Sans is just not in the mood to like conjure up some magic food for, this child to eat. But he is, he's able to think, and, he's just like, I really did not want to do this, but if I can't actually focus enough to conjure up some magic food for the kid, well, damn, it really hurts. I really forgot how much it hurts to do this. I've attempted to do it before, but not on myself. Okay, you only have 1 HP, and I have 20. So, this will leave me with 1 HP, and you with 20. But I can teleport. You can't. At least I don't think you can yet. So, and he just basically puts like a insane amount of his HP into this child, and it like heals them. And they're also kind of happy. Like they have like this cute little kid smile. And basically they just start giggling. And Sans is like, yeah, that's right. I actually did some good with what I am. Yeah, unlike unlike Dad, who only ended up in failure, I actually ended up doing some good. It may not exactly have been for the monster world, but I think maybe allowing this kid to have more HP than they originally had, maybe sometime in the future, they could do some good for this world themselves. If they're if the whole nature versus nurture thing is right, then if I they could they could be the thing that the entire all monsters need in order to be free. They could be the one to do it. All I have to do is basically go by the books. Nature versus nurture. They were human by nature, but if I nurture them in the right way, they could become something else, something more than they already are. That's it. I've decided, and no one, not even Undyne, is gonna change my mind. This kid, the fact that they were able to take my HP, this kid, they'll be the ones to do it. They'll be the ones to help us be free. And won't have to even force them. They'll do it on their own mindset. They'll want to do it. They'll want to free us because of the whole nature versus nurture thing. If we nurture them in the right way, if we actually do what's needed, if we can be more of a family to them than actual other humans, then we can fix what was broken before. The last time a human came down to the underground, we can do it right this time. Yeah, but from what I can remember, that was a different timeline. But it doesn't matter, because it shows that if a human is nurtured enough, they can want to do good by they can want to do good. You don't have to be like the others. A human can be kind. A human can be kind. They're not just all killing machines. They're not just all walking flesh-sacked killing machines. And this child, they could prove that. I could do something far greater than even what father was planning to do. Yeah, wait till Dad notices that. Wherever he is in the void, all the pieces of him are strewn around there. Wait till he notices that I succeeded where he failed. But, in to be real with myself, this is more about the kid than anything. Still, more about them than anything else. Basically, Papyrus is like, brother, what are you what are you chattering on about? Instead of action, and Sans is just like, bro, privacy please. And Papyrus just kicks down the door and just like, what in the world are you? And Sans is just like, oh god, no. It's just like, Sans, what is that? And like Sans is just like, he explains everything to Papyrus. It's just like, you know, Sans explains everything in a way that, wouldn't make Papyrus, like, have a shit fit. And, it's just like, Papyrus is just like, but Undyne will. And Sans is like, no, Undyne won't. And Papyrus is like, how do you know that? And Sans is just like, because I'm not gonna let her. This kid, this kid, they, they could be the key. Besides, seeing them out there in the cold like that, it didn't feel right for me to just leave them. I guess I really am the suck one. Out of the two of us, you're all ready and raring to capture a human and take them to the capital. And I am actually looking forward to, helping this human grow and develop and to something that will help us without having to kill anyone anymore. And Papyrus is like, kill? And Sans is like, oh, I think I said too much. And Papyrus is like, no, brother, please. And Sans is just like, well, fine. Undyne's looking to kill the human. That's how exactly Undyne and Asgore believe that we're going to be free. They already have 6 human souls. Now, Asgore is basically saying all they need is one more. And, well, this kid is a human. And the only other human that I believe I've heard rumors of being here is supposed to be in the care of the queen. Or former queen, really. If we're to be honest with ourselves, former queen. And Papyrus is just like, uh, oh. And it's basically decided then and there that, if Undyne comes around, you know, it's game time. And Papyrus is just like, well, how exactly do you hope to fight Undyne? I know I'm sure is, not going to do it. I mean, I'm friends with her. Well, at least she said we were friends. And Sans is like, well, that's just the thing. The kid doesn't even have their own room yet. Well, that machine that was in that room, and Price is like, oh, you mean the room out back? Yes, that room. The one with the machine in it, and the blueprints. You're going to want to make it into a makeshift room for the human whenever they become older? It's almost like you think you can actually win this. And Sens is like, I don't think, Pap. I know. If the if Undyne actually gets anywhere close to the human, they would have already had to kill me first. Seeing as I'm basically entrusting you with the safety of the human once Undyne comes knocking around. And Papyrus is basically like, wait, what? And Sans is like, yeah, you're to take them back there and basically hold the fort if something bad happens to me. Uh, you, basically, you can understand that, you know, like, take a request, you know, if it's from your bro, right? You wouldn't, like, not. And Papyrus is just like, Sans, uh, I will indeed do this, but only if it gets to that point. And until then, I will do my best. The Great Papyrus will do his best to prevent that. And Sansa's like, that's even better. Just hope that that won't end up getting you killed. I know how Undyne can be. She may not want to attack you, but all of the underground is more important to her than just one single monster. I can tell you that. She's focused as much as possible on helping everyone and doing exactly what Asgore tells her to do. As the captain of the Royal Guard, it's her duty to not only help everyone, but, you know, take Asgore's orders as, serious as possible. So, until Undyne comes knocking around, I entrust the safety of the human to only myself. But when and if she does come knocking around, and I can't really rise to the challenge to the fullest extent, it's all on you, Pap. Please, please. And Papyrus is like, I already told you, Sans. I will not fail you. I will find a way to resolve this in a mostly peaceful manner. If past experiences with Undyne have taught me anything, it's only a mostly peaceful manner. And Sans is like, he just goes in to hug him and he's like, oh, thanks, Pap. You're the best. And basically it's like, but until I can really, renovate the room, the kid's still sleeping with me. And Papyrus is like, not until you actually get a real bed. And Sans is like, the kid kind of really doesn't have a choice. I really don't think you want to be the one seeing the kid. We haven't even come up with a name for them yet. We're the only ones taking care of them, and, well, really haven't came up with a name for them. And Papyrus is like, correction. You haven't came up with a name for them. And neither have I. Anyways, yes, the name would be nice. So that you just don't always call them the kid, or I don't always call them the human. And Sans just like, oh, you have anything on the top of your head, Paps? And Papyrus is just like, for once, the great Papyrus is truly indeed stumped. What about you, Sans? And like Sans is like, well, I was thinking of something. I don't know why, but something about. Well, I really just don't know why, but Sans is lying whenever he says he doesn't know why. He's just like lying to Papyrus straight, like just straight up lying to him whenever he says he doesn't know why. Because like he can see like the other like timelines and shit, like like time travel or shit. So like you would probably know about Chara and like how similar this human looks to Chara. Like they may not like wear the same like shirt and pants, but they do indeed look similar. And so he does end up coming up with the name Chara. And Papyrus is like, Chara? That is very indeed that is something that I don't think I would have come up with. And seeing as I, well, haven't come up with anything, Chara it is. And Sans is like, huh, thanks, bro, but please try not to yell it. Uh, but then again, probably no promises. Anyways, kid, you hear that? That's your name, Chara. And Chara is just like finally glad to not like be called like C. Like, what was that Gaster guy's like deal? Like, what was that creepy dude's deal? Because Chara doesn't really know that he was called Gaster. Does he really? Like, they really just know that creepy dude. Actually, I'm gonna make Chara a girl in this. So basically, she just knew creepy dude. Not his actual name, just creepy dude. That's all she really knew Gaster as, like just the creepy dude. And it's just like basically now Chara is just in the care of Sans and Papyrus, mostly Sans though. Like she likes to cuddle up to Sans, like and just snuggle up with him. But eventually, like Sans knows that it's going to come up with a confrontation, like with Undyne. He knows it's inevitable. So, you know, it's never really an easy like sleep night for him, but he doesn't regret like taking Chara in. He doesn't really regret it. He's just like it's harder for him to sleep, but hey, like Papyrus already has his problems with how much he sleeps, so I guess there's some benefits to this, like Papyrus doesn't yell as much, and I mean it's a good thing because he doesn't want Chara to be found about the fact that there's another human living around. Like, the monsters don't really bother around the ruins because number one, you can't really get in from the way like snowed into the ruins, you can't really get in. And number two, Toriel is the one who is taking care, like the former queen. You don't want to mess with the former queen. Plus, that respect thing. Unless like Asgore said it like himself, like it was the only option. That's the only like way like Undyne would actually go out of her way to enter the ruins. Like if Asgore said it was the only way, because she has that loyalty to Asgore. You know, as the captain of the Royal Guard, she got that loyalty. She got that loyalty bill. But as for now, no one knows about the other human. The one recently given the name Chara. And as for like a last name, like Sans and Papyrus are just like, well, like Sans, he's Comic Sans Gaster. Papyrus is just Papyrus Gaster. And so Chara, even though Sans is like, why are we even doing this? The dude is stuck in the void. Like if they're going to be family, because for some reason Sans just feels like that's going to be a thing. He doesn't know why. Like part of him doesn't know why, but he just feels like that's going to be a thing. So he decides Chara Gaster. And so basically, yeah, basically given the first name Chara and seeing as Sans feels that they might actually possibly become a family, like an actual family, does like his own little self paperwork to make it legit that she's a part of the family now, like the Gasters. So, like the Gasters, there are actually three of them now. Three Gasters again. And if you guys are wondering about the mother, like if any of you are wondering about their mother, like how that happened, they don't really have a mother. Like Gaster did at one time have like a female person that he liked, but they were part of the human and monster war and they died. That's kind of what inspired Gaster to make two skeletons. Yeah, like this is basically like handplate syndrome to where like Sans and Papyrus are both creations, but the entire reason why Gaster created them is actually because of, the death of his lady love, the person he really loved, but never got a chance to, like, make it happen. So he tried to find a way for love in, like, creating, like, a life form, but it ended up splitting into two life forms, and so Sans and Papyrus were created. And basically, the fact that Gaster allowed Sans and Papyrus to call him dad or father, because, that love thing, that whole love deal, like the affection towards that, basically the affection that monsters have, towards their kin. And, just their family in general, like the entire thing. That's how that happened. And so basically, it is three Gasters yet again. Only this time, like, Sans is like the father, and Papyrus is like the uncle. And so, basically, that would make Chara like the freaking, like, kid. And, like, if any of you are wondering, like, if she would ask why she doesn't have a mom, well, that's later on, like at another time, whenever part two is released, because, oh boy, 56 minutes. Shit. Ah, man, fuck. Anyways, how long do you gonna DOS this? Because it's actually, I'm never gets OUT out here. You boys, bye.